Communicate in full color. The result? Better teams, stronger leaders, and higher sales results. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Scott Schwefel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me here. Thanks, EQ Partners, for bringing me in. I'm excited to take you through a program based on the Insights Discovery System, a model of communication to help understand self and understand others. Insights is a global company headquartered in Dundee, Scotland. In fact, the assessment that's tied to our work is called Discovery. It's named after a ship, the RRS Discovery, a ship that got stuck in the South Pole in 1904 for over a year. That ship was built in Dundee and now sits in the harbor in Dundee, and you can go there and have dinner. My wife and I were there about 2 months ago. It's just spectacular seeing the cabins with names like Shackleton on that journey. And the reason Discovery was named is it's a journey. This model, this idea of learning about who you are, understanding self, and understanding others is a journey. You're not all going to have it mastered in 2 hours, but you're going to be a lot better because you're going to have a system and a model and an understanding not just of how you see yourself. Are you really the people you think you are? That's what we're going to get into. Are you really the people that you think you are? We're also going to give you a perspective of how are you actually showing up to everybody else? Wouldn't it be interesting if you could see yourself through the lens of other people? That's what we're going to provide to you. So let's first start by having you think about who you are. I want you to come up with an adjective that describes you right now and share it at your table. One word, an adjective that describes you right now, share it at your table. Come up with something, claim something, and share it. If you're stuck, ask people at the table to give you some ideas. Come up with something. Now, listen to this for just a second. If you're hearing me speak right now, you're a little more introverted. If you're still talking, you're a little more extroverted. Pretty obvious, right? I want you to look at your table right now and think about who talked first. Who put it right out there with energy and enthusiasm? Point at that person, okay? They might be the most extroverted at your table. The funny thing is, they weren't thinking about being the most extroverted at your table. They just showed up. That's what we do all the time. Brain scientists tell us that 95 to 97% of the time we show up on autopilot. We don't think about how we're coming across to other people. I know there's at least 20 or 30 out of the 300 of you that didn't even come up with a word. And I can kind of have an idea of who it was based on the face you made when I gave you the exercise. Some of you cringed, are still cringing, like it's the most painful thing I asked you to do. It's one word. In fact, some of you right now are starting to think, okay, I gave a word out. I told everybody, God, I hate the word. A chance to look cool, chance to feel cool, and I bombed it. You can tell them a new word if you want. But the point behind coming up with the word is we operate in autopilot, and I want you to move beyond autopilot to conscious awareness, to paying attention to what you're doing, how you're doing it, and learn to do it for the benefit of other people. If you're that person that always talks first at the table, and by the way, this is what I want you watching for the rest of the day and tomorrow in the meetings that you have and the groups that you're with, who's talking all the time, okay? Because if it's you, consider being consciously aware that it's you and pulling back, giving other people an opportunity to jump in. If you're someone that loves to sit quietly at the table and you're hoping you can avoid saying anything for any of the conversations I prompt you to have, be first on the next exercise. Be first. Stretch yourselves. That's what discovery is all about. Conscious awareness enables you to stretch yourself and lean into other people's style. There's a lot of models, there's a lot of systems, there's a lot of assessments. Here's a list of a bunch. I've been through everything on here. I've taught 5 or 6 of them. Raise your hand if you've been through a model that's behind me, right on the screen. Raise your hand nice and high. Look around the room. over half of you at least, keep your hand up if you know your designation from that model. Keep your hand up if you know the designation of people at your table, and keep your hand up if you used it. Whatever the model was, you sat at the table and you thought, oh, I love Myers-Briggs. I'm an ENFP. I'm sitting next to an ESTJ. I'm going to say, hey, what are you here to get done? Oh, no, I think I'm here with an INTP. I'm just going to leave them alone. By the way, I taught Myers-Briggs as a certified instructor for 12 years. I thought it was the greatest system in the world for understanding self and others until I stumbled on this model. I went to a computer conference. I owned a computer training business, went to a conference, and to about 300 of us, somebody shared these key concepts. And I realized how easy it actually could be to use this model and to pay attention. It's powerful because it's simple. But it all comes down to your ability to see yourself through the lens of others. What a great personality assessment, right? What a simple metaphor. Kittens and tigers. Raise your hand if you're more like a kitten than a tiger. Just raise your hand. Where's my kittens in the room? Let me see. Look around. There's a bunch of you. Don't be shy. Okay? By the way, you know there's not a third choice, right? There's not a third choice. So one more time, nice and high. Look at the kittens in the room. Not like that's a bad thing. We don't even know what it means. Okay, put your hands down. Where's the tigers in the room? If you could see what I just saw, it's how your physiology speaks. How did the kittens just vote just now? How did you vote? You went like this. You looked around, right? And as soon as you saw some more, you're like, oh, it's cool. But you still only got up about halfway until I said, put your hands all the way up, and then you did, right? It's okay to be a kitten. Did you see how the tigers voted? Wham! 25 of you just did it again, like to show me. And that's not the model I'm going to teach you, but my point is we don't realize we are conveying to the world constantly who we are. Discovery gives us a system to plug those behaviors into so that we can understand each other. And if we're aware, if we're thinking about it, we can do it. This image is great because one of the times that brain scientists tell us we typically move to conscious awareness is in the mirror on a work day. How many of you woke up this morning and for a second thought you're on vacation and then realized you're coming to a conference, looked in the mirror and said, who am I going to be today? How am I going to show up today? What am I going to wear today? How does everybody expect me to be today? I'll go be that person. You know how long it lasted? About that long. And then you know what you did? You brought the kitten into the conference and the kitten's been hanging out with everybody. The kitten is your less conscious behavior. It's what you're like when you're not paying attention to what you're like. That's what sits behind discovery, is to understand the key difference between those two states of mind. Let me give you two easy examples to make it very real for you. You're all doing things operating out of your less conscious brain, which means your brain is in control of those functions and you're not paying any attention. Blinking is one of them. You're all blinking. You were all blinking. Now you're staring at me like a bunch of weirdos. All you did was think about it, and two things always happen. The pattern changed. For most of you just stared with bug eyes. Some of you started to experiment with it like you've never done it before or never noticed it before. But the powerful thing is you have control. Think about your blinking. Blink a lot, blink a little, stop, start. It's up to you. Conscious awareness brings control. Breathing is another example. You've all been breathing comfortably till right now. You forgot about blinking because your focus is on breathing. Now there's a benefit here. Everyone take a deep breath. Really, take a deep breath. You couldn't do that if you weren't consciously thinking about breathing, but because you're thinking about it, you're in control. I want you to learn to take control of one of the most important things in your lives, which is your interaction with other people. Take conscious control of how you are showing up with other people. If they talk fast, you should talk a little faster. You can't do it if you're not thinking about it. If they talk slowly, you should slow down a little bit to meet them where they're at. You should watch their tone, their pace, their physiology. Look for the body language that sends clues to you that say, you're on board, right? They're with you. They're on track. I know who's on track in the room already. I just look for the nods on the head, right? Yeah, that one. And that one. You're doing it. If you're looking for this, you'll always know that someone is connecting with what you're saying or where you're taking them. And it could be really subtle, but I don't think anyone said, I'm going to nod to this point for Scott's benefit. No, you just do it. You do it all the time. Some of you are giving me a poker face. You're like, I don't want to get up and walk out right now, but I want to. right? It's just no expression, and you think this might be garbage, okay? At the same time, that expressionless face might also be intellectually stimulated by this content. And you came here with a bit of skepticism, which is completely healthy, and you want to challenge this system, and I'm going to have to prove to you that it works. By the way, you don't show a lot of emotion either. So those two faces take a little practice to differentiate between, right? The poker face that doesn't want to be here, and the poker face that I'm going to try and win over in the next 90 minutes. The last one is you're smiling and you're nodding like this, and you don't want to be here. You're a psychopath. And I'm looking for you too. Think about this when you wake up in the morning. A bunch of you just pointed when I said you're a psychopath at somebody at your table. Think about how many times you're actively aware of how you're interacting with someone else. It really is rare. Brain science tells us only 3 to 5% of the time are we the people we think we are. 95 to 97%, we're just showing up. And the thing with our model is you're just showing up the same way. And if you translate this to a work environment, you think you're the tiger, you go to work, guess who does all your work? The kitten. What that means is the kitten manages your tone of voice all day. Your kitten manages your physiology. Your kitten writes every email you send to other people. Your kitten sends your text messages. Your kitten's not paying any attention to who's receiving those messages. Only with awareness can you pay attention to the way in which other people would prefer you communicate. I've got a worksheet on the table in front of all of you. Just grab that if you could. It looks just like this. It's a bunch of words. There's pens on the table if you need them. Take 1 minute and circle 15 or 20 words that describe you on that worksheet. 15 or 20 words on that worksheet that describe you. By the way, if you're short at your table, raise your hand. If you have extras, hold them up. We tried to distribute the materials pretty evenly. Hold it up if it's an extra. Somebody grab it. Awesome. Again, shoot for 15 or 20 words. Circle the words that describe you well. The extroverts are going to talk us through all their choices. I know you were. Now stop that so the other people can think. If you're trying to talk yourself into a word, it's not you, okay? If it's you, you circle it right away. The back of the worksheet is the same. That's so that you can use it on a spouse or partner. And many of you will. Once you've circled those 15 or 20 words, just go ahead and total up the 4 columns on the bottom. And what you're doing is what I just did on my slides. I translated those adjectives that describe you to the language of colors. The insights, discovery, color energies. Now, before you feel compelled to start sharing your results, let me take you into the model first, and I'll give you an opportunity to do that. If you finished it, look up at my slides just for a second. Here's another simple evaluator. 4 statements. See if you can identify one of them which is most like you and one of them which is least like you. What's the color energy that you might lead with, and which one might be your lowest? And for those of you, you're snapping pictures of my slides, I'm going to give you my email at the end. Email me and I'll send you all of them. Okay? Do it one more time. Actually see if you can go to the level of, this one's most like me, this color energy's most like me, this one's second, this one's third, and then this one's last. See if you can arrange the color energies in the order in which you show them. It's important language that I use also. Nobody is going to leave here a red person or a blue guy or a green girl. You are never singularly a color energy. You show them in a certain order. You lead with one, and if you're thinking about it like you are right now, you're painting your tiger. Because you're consciously thinking about who you are, you're ordering the colors with consciousness, which means you probably show the colors that way when you're thinking about who you are. But there's another way that we show up, which is what are we like when we're unaware of our behavior? And for most of you, believe it or not, it's different. And for some of you, it's really different. You might lead with a different color energy when you're unaware of your behavior. You might even lead with the opposite color energy when you're unaware of your behavior. And we're going to do a crazy exercise to give you that feedback, which is how you show up to other people around you. And I'll show you how we do that in just a second. Let me explain the color energies to you. And I want you thinking about, kind of confirming, what's the order in which you demonstrate these? In our language, it's what do you lead with? If you lead with fiery red energy, you're competitive, demanding, determined, strong-willed, purposeful, go, 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 get stuff done. My wife, Linda, is my business partner for 15 years and my partner in life for 32 years. She leads with high fiery red, which means when I'm driving the car and the light turns green, she says, go. Go, turn, go, now, go, every single time. It's naturally in her. She can't help it. She can't stop. Her favorite expression in the world is, I'll be in the car, which means we're all late, we're all behind. It's been going on my kid's entire life. She's got this unique focus on the task at hand and get the task done. She does this work as well. She had events last week, went to New York with some girlfriends, had another one in Chicago. I woke up somewhere on the road, excited to get a text message, and it said, I see the weather's bad. You maybe want to change your flight from Atlanta through Detroit. And I wrote back, good morning. Right? But that's the mindset. Red energy says, what are we here to get done? I lead with yellow. Yellow energy, sunshine yellow, sociable, dynamic, demonstrative, enthusiastic, persuasive. Woohoo! That's yellow energy. And if you chuckled, you lead with some yellow energy. If that was irritating, you probably lead with cool blue. Because cool blue likes to take in all the data, all the facts, all the logic, and without emotion, solve problems. Analytical, cautious, precise, deliberate. You start to pick up on the idea that blue and yellow are opposite personalities. They are opposite psychological types. And red and green are opposite psychological types. Those of you in the room who lead with earth green, you're calm, caring, encouraging, sharing, patient. You're all about making sure everyone around you is okay. Think about the activity at your table with our materials. Some of you have distributed them already. Think about how the color energies might go at those materials. Fiery red, you took your set, right? And you might have passed them out just to get the job done. Earth green passed them out to everybody first so that you're going to be last. If in case there isn't enough, right? You'll figure it out somehow. You're taking care of other people first. Sunshine yellow sat down at the table and went, oh man, look at this stuff. We are going to have some fun in here. And cool blue sat down and said, oh, great. Really? This is what we're going to do? I got a business to run. Oh, this better be good. This guy better know something, right? I'm skeptical right out of the gate. You start to see that in everything we do, we drag our personality, our style, our color and energy with us constantly. We bring it with us all the time. Now, pick the one you lead with. And by the way, most people actually have two that are fairly close, followed by people with three that are fairly close in inclined usage, and only 3% of the time does somebody really strongly just show one. So I know that even though I'm saying pick the one you lead with, there could be others really close to it. But just of the four, the one you believe you demonstrate the most, because I'm going to show you another version of it. It's called Insights Color Energies on a Bad Day. And if you haven't grabbed the laminated card in front of you, by the way, it's got the model on it. It's that little half-sheet laminated card. Hand that out. The bad day color energies show up when you overuse the gift of what you lead with. When my wife tells me how to drive, to me, she's aggressive, controlling, driving, overbearing, and intolerant. Bad red energy. When I drive through the neighborhood and roll the window down to say hello to absolutely everybody, which I always do in Minneapolis where I'm from, even in the winter, I always want to talk to people, which always slows us down in getting where we're going. My wife would tell you that I'm excitable, frantic, indiscreet, flamboyant, hasty, and out of control. Why can't I just focus more? And I say, why can't you just relax more? And we step back and realize we're just being our natural selves. If you overuse green energy, you might show up docile, bland, plodding, reliant, and stubborn. On a good day, we like to say that unconditional love sits in earth green energy. On a good day. On a bad day, we say that earth green, hell hath no fury like earth green energy scorned. Look at that. Some of you are nodding like with your whole being on that one because you lead with earth green and you know, right? Violate your values, treat somebody unfairly that you love, boy, you're going to come unglued. That's bad green. And bad blue is you're just paralyzed with the need for more data, stuffy, indecisive, suspicious, cold, reserved, asking too many questions, can't take action. See, what happens with the preferences, the color energies, is we think that what gets us in trouble is the one that we don't use very well or very often, our lowest. Rarely does that get you in trouble. What gets you in trouble communicating with other people is you're overusing the gift of the one that you lead with. And with awareness, you can learn when to pull back. With awareness and practice, you can learn to lean into other people's color energies because I'm going to show you how to figure them out. Not just all of you here where you're going to identify yourselves in the model, but literally every other person you interact with. If I go back to good day for a second, I want you to identify your spouse or partner. What do they lead with compared to what you lead with? Look at the smiles and look at the panicked faces. How many of you suspect right now that you're with or you married your exact opposite psychological type? Raise your hand. Look around the room. What in the world were you thinking? You weren't thinking. Nobody thinks when you fall in love. You just fall in love. Opposites attract. You're drawn together. You fall in love with that person. But the reason it works, even though they're your opposite psychological type, is you're paying attention to them with conscious awareness. You're doing what I'm teaching you to do all over again. You noticed them. You said, honey, how you doing? What can I get you? Do you need anything? What would you like to do tonight? What would you like to do this weekend? What is anything and everything I can do for you because I'm in love with you? And then there's a point where you kind of got lazy and you quit. And they were doing it too, and then they got lazy and they quit. And you both woke up one day together and said, oh my God, I'm with my exact psychological opposite type. You always were. It's not a new thing. You're just not trying as hard. Honestly, if you go home, when you interact with them and say, I'm going to lean into their style a little bit, you're going to realize all the magic you had is still there, but you have to do it. You can't wait for them to do it. The way to get it, and the way to get them to do it with you, is you've got to do it with them first. And that's just not spouses and partners, that's everybody. And by the way, this model works on kids. If you've got children, think about the way in which they show up and the way in which you should be interacting with them based on this model. There's good day, there's bad day, and if you're unaware of your behavior, you don't know when you're coming across like this on a bad day. When I learned about this model, I was sitting right where you are with about 350 people in Austin, Texas. In our company with 60 employees, we'd all been through Myers-Briggs. We all had our designation on the door. We'd also been through a DISC assessment. We all had our letters. The goal was everybody would walk up, look at the letters ENFP, big D, little I. Hey, Scott, how you doing? And they'd know how to interact with me. It's not easy to do. It's a lot of math. I taught it for 12 years. I've been teaching it for 30 years. And it's hard for me to give you the example and make it accurate, which that was. But it's difficult. In the middle of that workshop, when they said, hey, reach in the table and grab the colors to identify your top two, I reached in, and so did my operations manager, Kimberly. At the same time, we put lays around our necks. That's what we were using in that workshop. I put yellow and red around my neck. I lead with yellow and red. She put blue and green around her neck. She was probably 5 tables from me, looked up and saw me, got up, ran over to my table, grabbed her necklace and said, do you finally understand me now? You're laughing, but can you imagine how horrible that was? She'd worked for me for over a year. I was teaching these concepts of communication, but with her, I wasn't aware. And I just tried to be funnier and more demanding. And she wanted me to be amiable, patient, and detail-oriented. I looked at her and said, Kimberly, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know why, but I didn't get it. And our relationship changed right then forever. She said, okay, and the whole company's going to go through this. And I said, as fast as you can fly this guy in. So as fast as we could, we hired that same instructor, Doug Upchurch, flew him up to Minnesota, and he took us through the program. Half the company in the morning, half the company in the afternoon. With no more really than the tools on your tables, everyone in our company identified who they were in the model, and we all treated them the way they wanted to be treated. I'd never seen anything so transformational. And I had an Inc. 5000 fast growth company. We were doing very well, and I said, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do this. I want to do this because this changes companies and impacts people's lives. Everything you do where you're communicating with someone else can be leveraged more if you have an awareness of their color energies. And like I said before, if you pay attention, the clues are there. Stop just listening to what people say and start listening to how people say what they say. It's 5 times more important if you listen to tone and pace. It has completely different meanings. Of course I'd love to go to that meeting with you. Of course I'd love to go to that meeting with you. Radically different. When my son was about 9 or 10, I asked him a question. I don't remember what it was. And he said, Dad, you don't care what I say. You just care how I say it. And I go, yeah. Like my poor kids were raised in this environment. But there was a point where the light went on and we said, we should be using this on our kids. We should be treating them the way they wanted to be treated. And they're showing us, even though they don't understand the model in as much as they barely understand who they are or who they are becoming. But if you watch them, you're going to see the clues. Now, what I want to give you all is a perspective, and it's going to seem like madness when we do it, okay? So be ready for madness. But the end result is really powerful. Reach in your tables again and grab the worksheet that looks like this, except there's no dots on it. It's the blank worksheet. Along with that, make sure you've got a sheet of dots. Some of you have jumping ahead and handed them out already. We're going to need those for the exercise. And again, if you don't have it, raise your hand, empty hand. If you have extras, look around at the empty hands and hold it up for them. We've got plenty out there for everyone. And again, I want you to think about how information is now being shared. What color energy grabbed it? What color energy shared it? Which color energy is still talking? By the way, who's the quietest one at your table? Don't point at them, they'll blush. You see, she pointed, you blushed. I can see it from here. What that means is probably somebody with high blue and green energy, much more introverted. You can see on the worksheet, I've got the psychology there that underpins the model. Red and yellow, you're the extroverted energies. You talk a lot. I hope you know you do that. Think about someone you work with. By the way, all of you, think of someone you work with or that you know who talks all the time. They never stop talking, which means they lead with yellow energy, okay? If you can't think of anyone who talks all the time, it's you. See, this is where you start to see the relative way in which we interact with each other. Meaning if you have really high yellow energy, you don't see it as much in other people. And you kind of assume everybody loves your high yellow energy. You know what? They don't. And blue really doesn't. But yet we just operate as if the whole world sees itself like we do. And it's not the case. Everybody sees the world through their own lens of color energies. Blue and green, more introverted. You're more quiet, more thoughtful, and more reflective. Now, that's the first question you're going to answer about everybody in your lives from now on. Everybody you work with, interact with, friends, family, colleagues, customers, clients, vendors, everybody. Make a judgment, introversion versus extroversion, okay? The second one is, how do they appear to make decisions? If they focus on data, facts, and logic, see thinking at the top of the model, that's blue and red energy. People with blue and red energy love to take in the data to solve the problems. Look at all of you nodding. Those of you that are nodding, lead with blue or red energy. You're giving me the clues. If you make decisions based on whom will be impacted by the decision, and you're all about people and all about feelings and all about relationships in driving your decision making, you lead with green or yellow energy. So those are the two ways you sort people. Introvert, extrovert, thinker, feeler. Introvert, extrovert, thinker, feeler, constantly. You could also just sort of assign in your mind, which of the 4 color energies do I see that person showing? Are they driving results all the time? Fiery red. Do they seem like they are calm and caring and constantly supporting and taking care of other people? Well, that's a lot of earth green is what I see. Are they talking all the time and always having a blast? Sometimes too much? Yeah, like last night? Possibly. Sunshine yellow, energy and enthusiasm. Are they always about data, facts, logic, asking pertinent, relevant questions, bringing a bit of skepticism at times, and tend not to show a lot of emotion? That's cool blue. Let's just do a little test on that. Now that you had a reception last night, correct? Okay. Everyone raise your hand. And I'm just going to go through the night, and I'm going to say a time. Put your hand down when you went to bed. Okay, so hands up in the air. If you went to bed at 8, hands down. 9, hands down. 10, hands down. 11, hands down. 12. I'm guessing that's some yellow energy in the room. I'm just guessing. Don't know for sure. Don't know for sure. But I want you to think about, again, all the different ways this stuff shows up. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. And again, I told you it's going to be chaos. And it's not even organized chaos. It's chaos. But the result is really cool. This person, this worksheet I'm showing you, they just completed the exercise. About 10 or 12 people came over to them and said, you know, you're really analytical. You ask a lot of questions. You don't show a ton of emotion. I see blue energy. I think you lead with blue energy. They put a blue sticker on their sheet. A couple people said, you're always caring and supportive, kind of a calm tone and pace. I see earth green. I'm going to give you a green dot. One person said, oh, no, you're always driving results. I see fiery red. Here's a red dot for you. Okay? That's the end result. The way we get there is I'm going to ask you to put your initials on that sheet of stickers that you all just grabbed. Put your initials. It's nice to know where these votes come from. On each sticker, just put your initials. Each one, each sticker. Because unlike my drawing, I want to give you the chance to see the people, at least based on their initials, how they see you showing up in the discovery model. Again, if you don't have anything I'm talking about, just raise your hand. We'll get it to you right away. If you're talking, you're extroverted. If you thought about the fact that your initials are going to be the same as 5 other people in the room, and you use 3 initials to be really safe, that's cool blue. One of my CEOs, by the way, right in front of me in a workshop with about 20 people, I said, everyone put your initials on the stickers. And he took a marker. We had fat markers in the room, and he literally went zip, 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 zip right in front of me. And no big deal, but I go, your initials? And he goes, yeah, today. If you have high red energy, he's awesome. What a smart way to do it. If you have low red energy, he's kind of a jerk, isn't he? See how it works? We judge the world against our blend of color energies. None of you sees the exact same world that I see or that anyone else sees, because every one of you has a different set of lenses, different set of filters through which you see the world. So you've got the worksheets. Don't start putting the dots on already, fiery red. I know at your table you're like, well, I got a vote ready for you. It's not how we do it. Remember I said it's going to be chaos. Because we don't want you to look at someone's worksheet and say, oh, a lot of people said blue. I guess blue too. I'll go with the crowd. I don't want you to do that. I want it to be your unique vote. The way we get you there is you're going to look at the person, decide introvert, extrovert, thinker, feeler, laughs, talks a lot with energy. I'm going to guess yellow. You put a yellow sticker on their worksheet. Their worksheet, all of your worksheets, are taped on your backs. That's why there's tape on the back of the chairs. Work with a partner, tape the worksheet on your backs, then get up and go to at least 12 or 14 people and vote on the color energy they lead with, okay? It's okay if you don't know a lot of people or a lot of people don't know you. Please make sure everyone gets at least 8 or 10 dots. Make sure everyone gets 8 or 10 dots. Keep moving, work the room, place your votes. Even if you don't know a lot of other people, go ask them what they do for fun. Meet somebody new. Watch people from a distance and place your votes. That feels like it's cheating a little bit. Well, but look around. Don't you want to see how you show up to other people, even if they don't know you? Yeah, but it's first impression. I can pretty much vote all. I mean, what? You wear your own on your back, and then people just talk to people. Like go up to somebody and say, "What do you do for fun?" Just tape on all the chairs. By the way, it's not going to hurt. Nothing bad can happen as a result. Anywhere. You all work together? So you want to get that from each other, but then just go get some random ones. Where's your sheet? Is it done? There's 4-foot-long or 2-foot-long pieces of tape on all the tables. Maybe it came on. Here. You want to go get some? Well, you can leave those on. You don't have to leave them on. Is this you? Can I talk to you into it? See, but that's telling. That's telling. Blue or green, right? Blue. Go ahead, talk to some people you don't know, ask them what they do for fun, make a decision, and give them a vote. I'm going to give you 5 more minutes. Yes? I know some of you are thinking, I don't know anyone. Go talk to some people and say, I'm going to talk with you for just a minute, and then you take a guess. Stretch yourselves, reach out a little bit. Keep going, keep moving. What? I'm going to put yours on. I saw it just flip off for a second. So watch your hair. I don't want to get it caught on your hair. There you go. Must be these expensive suits. Never hold the tape. There you go. There's one. Let me do one more. This will. No. But for 20 years, I've had flight attendants say, "Sir, you have yellow dots on your back. Is that on purpose?" There you go. There you go. Keep going. Keep going. Circulate a little more. Talk to some people. It's really valuable to see yourself through the lens of other people. Up. Must be some magnetism over here. Yours just dropped off. I've got a foolproof answer. Okay, I'll put it on. Watch your hair. This is from years of very important, chaotic workshops. That's not coming off, and this one's not coming off. There you go. Challenge yourself. Meet 2 more people. Bust out of your comfort zones a little bit. One minute. You've got just 1 minute left. Yes, sir.
I saw a woman just grab some of these, right? And I look and it's all red and yellow on the back. She was like, oh, I'll take hers.
Yours might be different. Yours might be different. Okay, this is where it's very difficult for you. But I need you to stop stickering. This is a really hard moment for a lot of people, but you don't have to get to anyone else. Come on back to the tables. Do not look at your backs. Do not look at the worksheets yet. Don't take the worksheets off. Don't grab it. Don't look. Don't grab it. Hey, raise your hand if you can hear me. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Keep it up. Keep your hand in the air if you can hear me. And I'm going to have everybody put their hand in the air. Everybody's hand is in the air. Everybody's hand is almost in the air. Don't take the sheets off your back yet. Come on back to your tables. Don't grab them yet. No, you don't need to sticker anyone else. I know it's like no one ever wants to stop. I get that. Come on back. Come on back, please. Let me give you a slightly deeper dive on the model, and then we're going to let you peek at what's on your back. Again, you don't need to keep stickering, people. You can always do it tonight, right? Is there a party tonight, a reception tonight? Yeah? No? Yeah. Okay. Trust me, you're going to be talking about this all night. I'm going to ask you to grab the blocks that are in each table. Okay? Grab a set of blocks and stack them in the order that you believe you show the 4 colors. Most like you goes on top, down to least like you on the bottom. Most like you on the top. Don't look at your backs yet. Don't look at your back. If you don't have blocks, hold your hand up. They're all over the place. Who's got extra blocks? There's 5 extra ones right here. It's who you believe you are. How do you show the colors? Most like you on top, least like you on the bottom. Stack them. And you can get creative with these in a little bit, but I don't want you to get creative yet. I just want you to do the straight stack up and down. And when you've done it, I want you to hold them over your head. And I want you to look around the room. I want you to look for a twin. There are 24 unique combinations of these 4 colors. Look for somebody who's holding up the exact same combination as you. Look for people you work with. Look for friends you've made here at the conference. See who's just like you. See how they're different from you. Out to search. If someone is holding, hold on. If someone is holding your blocks exactly upside down, they're your evil twin. They're your exact psychological opposite. How long should I let them go? Cut them off. Cut them off pretty soon. They'll go for 20 minutes. I think not even quite 5, no. A lot of hugs, a lot of celebrations. Kind of a funny thing to hug and celebrate over, isn't it? How many of you feel like you've found your people? How come that half of the room is standing and this half isn't? I don't know. Okay, now again, you can talk about this all night, but you should probably come back and sit down. We should probably keep going. All right. What you just did you're right, I'm right there with you. Let me see those hands again. It's the only way to drag the extroverts back in the room. Honestly, it's the only way. Come on. Welcome back. Here's what I want you thinking about. Look at the people at your table and notice the kind of interaction you've been having with them. Who talks the most at the table? Who's the quietest at the table? Who's the most supportive of others at the table? Who's the one driving? Who's the one maybe a little bit skeptical? Just look at the color energies and get a feel for, is that what you're seeing? Because the answer is probably yes. Now, in our model, because you guessed at your colors, you thought about who you are, you're operating as the tiger. You're operating out of conscious awareness. You're thinking about who you are in the moment. And that is who you are only when you're thinking about who you are. A good way to see what you're like when you're unaware of your behavior is through the lens of other people, and that's what's on your backs. Take a look. Oh, I wish I had that on video. That would have been priceless. Wait, unless we did catch it on video. Take a few minutes at your table and just share what results you got. And if it's people that are sitting at the table, have a conversation with them about where they put you and why. Okay? because now you've got the initials. You probably know the people you're sitting with. Find out why they put you where. What is it that they are seeing in you that shows up in one of those 4 colors? Take a few minutes and have those conversations right now. You're going to like where I go next. Yep. Right? I love it. And it's also incredibly productive. Yeah. Well, there's no bad combination, right? But if you don't have any stickers in one of the quadrants and you're working or interacting with someone who leads with that color, that's a stretch goal. You're each looking at your stretch goal. What color is it?
Red.
You know what's funny? For 20 years, flight attendants, when I get on the plane, say, "Sir, do you know you have colored stickers on your back?" Like 100 times.
I have hearing aid battery stickers all over me constantly.
Did you put it on me?
I did not.
Oh, funny. See, I don't even know who did.
I did not.
Feels like old times.
I'm very strong-willed and direct, so the red for sure.
Who put the red one in the green quadrant?
This is a right in the middle. This is me all. I think this is the most accurate representation. Oh, I don't think it's perfect. I feel like I'm just like.
Statistically, the one position that shows up the least is someone whose colors are even. It just because to get there in the online evaluator, you contradicted yourself on every question. It's the only way to have every color be in the middle. So we're actually taught to check in if somebody filled it out randomly when that happens. I've seen it like 4 times in 22 years. Take another minute and just wrap those conversations up for me if you could. You get the feeling I've got them doing all the work? You get the feeling I've got them doing all the work? I do. So let me share a few observations about those sheets. By the way, hold them up once. Kind of fan them around and so you can see a bunch. Just look at around the room. Look at this amazing diversity of thought. How wildly differently everyone shows up. What I want you to consider is if all your dots are red and yellow, you're really loud. If all your dots are blue and green, you're really quiet, okay? If all your dots are blue and red, man, do you love data and facts. top of the model. If all your dots are green and yellow on the bottom, you are so all about people in everything you do. That's a yellow dot. Now, some of you are going to realize you've got maybe a bunch of red ones and a bunch of green ones. That's possible. 9% of our profiles are people who show up demonstrating these two opposite styles, driven for results, fiery red 1 minute, amiable, caring, and taking care of others, earth green the next. Same thing with sunshine yellow and cool blue. Two opposite types, but they can coexist in how someone shows up as well. If you've got no stickers in a quadrant or two quadrants, you're really not showing that energy to other people. Consider who in your life might lead with that color and recognize that's probably a stretch for you. I feel like there's a little bit of marriage counseling going on here. It's not intentional, but just the sounds that are coming from over there is either going to make a profound impact or lead to a separation. I don't know what yet. The other thing to consider is, remember I showed you two versions of the colors? I said there's good day colors and there's bad day colors. Almost every one of you to the person is assuming every sticker on your sheet is a good day color. They're not. They're not. There's only one way to find out if it's good or bad or some combination, and that's to ask the people whose initials are on the sticker. And you know what? If you really want to be self-aware, if you really want to understand your opportunities for growth, if I would have done this with Kimberly, rather than mismanage her horribly for over a year, I would have said, Kimberly, I lead with yellow, red, and I love my colors. How do they come across to you, good or bad? She'd have said, aggressive, controlling, driving, overbearing, intolerable, excitable, frantic, indiscreet, flamboyant, hasty, bad, yellow, bad, red. I probably should have learned that the first week or two, not a year and a half into it. So there's a lot of teams that are here working together. That's the kind of conversation you need to have with each other. Now, one other case is, I know some of you said, oh, the way I stacked my blocks, that matched my back. I nailed it, right? I know you did that. I heard some of you. You don't get any points for that. All that means is you're really you, but that's not the goal. The goal isn't to just really be showing up the way you see yourself. What's the goal? The goal is to be a little bit more like everybody else. Think about it. Just stretch your personality 5% towards someone else, towards their style, to make a better connection, personally and professionally. If you were the best communicator on your team, in this group, in this room, where would all the stickers be on your back? All the way around is the answer. But why? Because you are communicating in everybody else's preferred style. When I'm hanging out with this table, I'm going to be driving results and having fun with the two of you. I'm going to make sure I get everything to you in writing, and I'm going to double check my work. Back to some fun over here, and then we'll just make a personal connection, but I'm going to have to earn my way in, right, or build some trust. All I'm doing is leaning into red and blue and yellow and green. And I'm not losing my identity. I'm not suddenly operating in an artificial or an inauthentic way. I'm actually paying attention to people and making an authentic attempt to communicate in their preferred style. And it's not just in what I'm talking about, it's how I'm talking to them. Am I talking to them because they lead with fiery red? We're going to get a lot of stuff done, you and I are. I kind of want to tell them your move. It was just so wonderful. It's classic. Can I? Or no? Come on. Can I tell you the move you made when you showed them all the red stickers? This young woman had a total quadrant of red. And the whole team is like, they all looked at her and went, yeah! And she went, yeah! I said, oh, I wish we had that in video. And by the way, that's the interaction of fiery red. I know, because I married you, right? That just always driving forward, charging ahead. The power of discovery is that you're not losing your identity, but it only works if you're thinking about other people. If you're not paying attention to other people, you can't do anything. Your kitten, you're less conscious, delivers all the results to everybody. It determines your tone of voice, your pace, your physiology. It determines how much or how little detail you put in an email. It determines how many emoticons you use. It determines how many exclamation points you put in. It determines whether or not you use spell check. But if you think about the other person and their color energies, what's going on over there? What are they doing over there? Exclamation points? Yeah. Oh, my wife, love her so much. Just always like 3 exclamation points. And it's just because it's a way to make a point, make a point, make a point. One of them kind of makes that point to me. If you lead with sunshine yellow, you probably overuse exclamation points also because you're just so excited about everything you write. Not always the right answer, okay? Have those conversations when you have some time, one-on-one with people, and ask them, why'd you put me here? What's it mean? How am I showing up? The more aware you can be, the more focused you're going to be on other people. Now, another way that we get you there, and I want you to keep these on for about maybe a month or 2, okay? I really want you to start to embrace this model. Reach in the middle of the table and grab 1 or 2 wristbands that convey your top 1 or 2 color energies. 1 if you just want to be treated that way. 2 if you're not sure. You might want to go back and forth. As an example, if I was here with you, I would grab my yellow wristband. You know what I'm saying to all of you? Get over here and talk to me about anything. Talk to me all night about anything you want. I'm probably going to stay up late. Put 1 or 2. It's who you are, which is typically the way you would like to be interacted with by other people. So I lead with yellow, and I want yellow interaction brought back to me. Again, raise your hand if you don't have access to the tools you need. Let me show you one more thing I'd like you to do, but you don't have to do it the way I always do it at conferences, okay? I want to use the little stickers to show people how I would like to be communicated with. So I'll leave these on all night. Would that be a little weird? It would be a little weird, but imagine if this is how you saw me. Imagine if this is how you learned to recognize me. And by the way, one of you put a red sticker on my back because another one of you, in a kind, caring way, said, "Can I take that red sticker off your back?" Come on, who got me? I've been jumping on planes for 20 years, and every other time from a live conference, a flight attendant says, "Sir, you have yellow and red stickers on your back. Did you know that?" Because I don't know when it happens. Here's my point behind the stickers. I want you to see me like this because it's the way I want to be interacted with. Have fun, get it done. Have fun, drive engagement and fun out of the gate. And by the way, I do get a lot done, but I don't lead with it. My wife leads with it. She leads red, yellow, which is get it done, and then we'll celebrate. Kind of similar. We're both extroverts. But in her world, if we don't get something done, nobody celebrates nothing. Because something's got to be done first, task-oriented, and then celebrate. Now think of the subtle difference between red, yellow, and red, blue. Because now you're getting into what we call first and second. Jung called them dominant and auxiliary attitudinal functions. I'm calling them your top 2 colors. Red, yellow is get it done and celebrate. Who in the room leads with that? Red, yellow. Get it done and celebrate. Woohoo! But it's got to get done first. Okay? Red, blue, you're in the room too. You're quieter. Still get it done, but then double check and make sure we did it right. That's a little different than celebrate, isn't it? You? Yep. She quietly just raised her hand like, yep, that's right. Get it done and double check. Celebrations happen rarely. May happen, may not. The point behind discovery is, if you don't want to do this for tonight, you've all got name tags on. Put the combination of how you want to be perceived. Again, just like the wristbands, put those stickers on your name tags for tonight. Keep those on. So instead of looking at where someone's from or what their name is, I want you thinking about what style of interaction do they want from me? If you put them side by side, you're telling people that you're going to show up one of those 2 ways, or you prefer one of those 2 interactions. That's okay. But if there's one that's bubbling up to the top, think about it this way. You put yellow on, everyone's going to talk to you all night about everything. Okay? If you put red on, you're saying to people, help me get something done here. Help me accomplish something. That's what red by itself means. Earth Green says, take the time to get to know me at a personal level. Slow down and make a connection with me. Right? But let's make it real. Let's make a connection. What does Cool Blue say on the wrist? I'll talk with you when I'm ready. Now, you might think at a conference, well, then people who lead with blue energy are going to be kind of left alone a little bit. And the answer is, yeah, they are. If you're sitting out there and you lead with blue energy and you put a blue wristband on, wouldn't that be awesome? If all these people weren't constantly coming up to try and talk with you when you weren't ready or weren't prepared. But if you heard someone talk about something, you could approach them and ask your questions, gather your data, and solve problems and make decisions. It's no different than the blocks. The blocks go back into your offices and sit on your desk where everyone else can see them permanently. Okay? It is not a toy for your kids. I think there's a toy like that you can buy, right? Yeah, Legos. Buy Legos for your kids. Put the blocks in your workspace so that you're telling each other, remember, this is how I want to be treated. Yellow says, get in and have fun. Red says, get in and get out. Let's get something done. Green says, check if I'm busy. If I'm not, let's have a personal connection. And cool blue says, stay out of my office, schedule my time. Isn't it just amazing to think how simple this is on one level, but how profound it is in how it changes behaviors? That's what we want. We want behavior change. By the way, not just professionally. How about personally? Here's a gang. Here's my gang. I take them with me when I travel. That's my wife on the end, fiery red. About 15 years ago, we were getting some headshots taken, and my oldest daughter, who you can see leads with yellow energy, said, oh my God, we need a family picture and a family picture with hats. And you know what would be better than that is a family picture with hats jumping in the air in the yard. Okay. I mean, she wore me out, and I lead with yellow. So we went out there with the photographer who said, all right, everybody, grab your hats, grab your colors. On the count of 3, I'm going to take a picture. Ready, set, go. Click. This is the picture. My wife and my youngest daughter, Scotty, have already landed. I'm not making this up. My oldest daughter and I are trying to be as big as we can in the photo. Like, yellow energy thrives on recognition, right? Just look at us, look at us. My son's feet never left the ground. A little more cautious, a little more reserved. I want you thinking about your family. I want you thinking about your kids. One of the ways that we adopted this idea of understanding conscious awareness, and I stole this from some speaker 30 years ago, is that you write with a dry erase marker something on your bathroom mirror. Because when you wake up and look in the mirror is when you are most likely triggered to conscious awareness. Why wouldn't you want to prompt your brain to focus on something that matters to you? What I would suggest is write something like, I'll see other people. I'll notice other people. I'll pay attention to other people. I'll see people's color energies. If it's a new message and it's right there, it'll trigger your amygdala and your brain will wake up and say, that's new, I care about that. You can only leave it there for 3 days, because what happens after 3 days? Your brain says, I expect it to be there. Your amygdala knows that and is not triggered to consciousness. As soon as it's not a new conscious thing that you're seeing, you wipe it off and you write it over here. You wipe it off and you write it over here. You change the words, you change the font, you use pictures, you do anything you want to do. But you've got to mix it up every 3 days for it to have an impact. And if you really want to have an impact on some lives that matter to you, start writing messages on the mirrors of your children. Think about that. They wake up, they look in that mirror. You don't even have to be there to begin to create new conscious thoughts that they have. My wife and I have been doing this for 30 years. Our kids have had a message on the mirror every day of their lives. They've all moved out. When my son moved out a year ago, I helped him, and I moved a mirror out of his bathroom with his fiancée into their home, and his goals were on one side of it, and her goals were on the other ones. That was a year ago. A month ago, I was at their house, and I can't get the words exactly right, but in their powder room, the mirror said, something like, I'm amazingly powerful and amazingly strong, because she's training for a marathon, right? So they've adopted it. Now, he's 20-something, 7, 8, 9. He won't know when I film this. But what's behind that is this idea that when you're focused and paying attention, in that moment, it triggers conscious thought. It begins to create a new brain pattern. When he was 9, I walked in my bathroom, and my mirror said, buy Connor a new bike. I didn't write that. Buy Connor a new bike. 32 years ago, I wrote something like, I want to be a world-famous speaker, right? And I'm really not, but I travel all over the world, right? And I've never had more fun in the last 20 years than anything else I've ever done, but it started with that thought. 2 days into it, my wife said, you sure you want to do that? You're not really good at that. By the way, I wasn't. I was scared to death to talk to people. I didn't have a message that I wanted to talk about. A couple days in, she erased it and wrote something like, make a good living. which I needed to hear, right? You got to balance sort of lofty aspirations with the reality of where you're at. But if you think about how rarely we consider what we're consciously paying attention to, you see this amazing opportunity to move in the direction of our dreams. That's what this is all about. Your communication with other people can be slightly better 200 times a day, 300 times a day. Every call, every email, every face-to-face, every remote interaction, every time you're working with a patient or a client, everything can be just a little bit better, including your friends and family. That's the power of discovery if you pay attention. The framework that sits under this, I've shared with you the parts of it that we leverage the most, but where it comes from is in 1921, Carl Jung wrote Psychological Types. When he did that, he talked about two attitudes, introversion and extroversion. In fact, he's the guy who coined those terms. They didn't exist before he wrote about them in 1921. He said we gather information through our senses, our five senses. We see it, hear it, touch it, taste it, smell it, or our intuition. Our intuition is when we know something and we don't know why we know it. And then lastly, once we've gathered information through sensing or intuition, we make a decision. It's either data, facts, and logic in our head, what's going to be impacted by my decision, or people, feelings, and relationships in my heart, we would say, whom is going to be impacted by my decision. Myers-Briggs, many of you are familiar with it, they added judging and perceiving. Jung had no judging and perceiving in his psychology. It's not in the book. Catherine Isabella, Myers and Briggs added that, which is when they moved their model beyond Jung's work. And I didn't know that when I taught it, but I know that now. Our founders in Scotland said, let's keep it not even this simple, but more simple, and let's align 4 colors with just introversion, extroversion, thinking, and feeling. So all you're trying to figure out when you're interacting with someone, again, is are they more extroverted, lots of talking, lots of eye contact, or are they more introverted? More quiet, more reflective, less eye contact. Followed by, do they make data-based, logic-based decisions, top of the model, or are they all about the people in their decision-making, bottom of the model? What we pick up on is the way in which this shows up, because the first one's pretty easy for us, introvert, extrovert. You can name everybody in the room and be pretty close. This one's a little harder, but I want to give you 2 important clues. Thinkers say, I think, all the time. You think you're a thinker? If in your head you said, I think I am, then you are. And if in your heart you said, I don't feel like I'm a thinker, you're a feeler. Because feelers say, I feel, all the time. And you're not limited to one or the other, but very much there's a pattern that you'll see when you're consciously aware of other people. Something to write on your bathroom mirror is notice, think versus feel. Just get better at paying attention. The second thing is, as you probably know, feelers, green and yellow energy, show more emotion. Blue and red energy show less emotion. Which color energy shows the least emotion? Take some guesses. Cool blue, because it's more introverted and based on logic-based decisions. Which color energy shows the most emotion? Green. Shows the most emotion. No, it's yellow energy because they're showing it. If it's green energy, I would say they're feeling it. Earth green feels a lot, but doesn't show as much because it's more introverted energy. Yellow energy feels it, maybe not as strongly, but then sometimes overshows it, right? Think about that friend you know who talks all the time. That's yellow energy. If you start paying attention to those clues, you start to plug people into the model and lean into their style. What's the way in which you see fiery red energy show up most of the time? Always getting something done, always driving forward and completing tasks. And if you're going to pick up on earth green energy, who operates in a calm, caring way, taking care of everybody? Look at your table and look at the people that you're with. Take a peek. Look at their blocks. Connect it back to the kind of interactions that you have been having with them. Think about if there's a miss. You don't have to tell them. But think about if it's a teammate and you're looking at their colors and you're realizing, I haven't even thought about that once ever since I started working with them, and they lead with your opposite color. That's the opportunity. That's a big opportunity. And it's not just you. If you're working together as a team, imagine all of you agrees to go back and do this. Pay attention to the model and notice each other. Ready for a little more chaos? Great. What I want to do is give you an opportunity to show your colors in a way that we can see all of us at once. So what I'm going to ask you to do in a moment, and it's not going to be a round circle, it's going to be an oval, okay? But I want to give you the opportunity, understanding the discovery model, to see where you are in relation to everybody else. Who's opposite the wheel from you? Who's right next to you? Who shares extroversion with you? Who shares introversion with you? Who shares thinking-based decisions or feeling-based decisions based on where you show up? Use that card as a guide, okay, to think about where you would fall in the model. You've got the wristbands on, you've got the stickers on. It's all about showing the colors. Here's the way I'm going to invite you to do it. If you take a look and you lead with high red, and your lowest color energy is green, we actually call that a double dose of red energy, because while you're showing fiery red energy, you don't have a lot of earth green to balance it, so you really show red. That means you show up right in the middle of the red quadrant. So if your top and bottom colors are opposite, you kind of stand right in the middle of the quadrant, which means if you're leading with fiery red energy, I'm going to have you come over here and stand in a big group, just kind of right here, okay? If you lead with cool blue energy, come and stand right over here. If you lead with earth green energy, I want you over there. All we're doing is recreating the wheel in real life. Bring your blocks if you want a reminder. And sunshine yellow, you're over there in that quadrant. So kind of stay within the first 7 rows of tables. We should fit okay there. Let's just get a big pack of fiery red over here. Come on in just a little bit so you can hear each other too, but like right over here. So this is maybe the focal point of fiery red, right here. Whoops, sorry. Sunshine yellow, we've got you all over here talking to each other, having a blast. All here, sunshine yellow. Kind of group up a little bit.
Those of us who weren't paying attention, Lana.
Wait, I just saw a sticker on a head. Oh, I love that. You should put on a couple wristbands. You can exaggerate. So just come on and bunch in just a little bit more this way. Just here a little bit closer. I think this is the biggest group by far, isn't it? I'm going to show you that now when I kind of subdivide them a little bit. Oh, wait, so you can pick, because you're going to be either right in the center of green or right in the center of red, but you have the unique ability to go back and forth. So pick which one you're feeling or thinking right now, because you can't stand on 2 opposite sides. Just a couple thoughts for you. If you take a look at the slide that I have up, you're going to see a little bit more of a gradient. So if you lead with green energy and red's on the bottom, you're right there. Also, if you have that opposite combination, a couple of you just showed me your top 2 colors are red and green or green and red. Look at the selfies are just being hammered over here in yellow energy. Think about that. What I want to give you the opportunity to do is sort yourselves one more time. If you lead with red energy followed by blue, come to this half of the group. If you lead with red energy followed by yellow, come to this half of the group. Over here, same thing. Blue energy followed by green, you're that half. Blue energy followed by red, you're that half. And what I want to do is stretch it out, essentially to make a circle all the way around based on your color energies. So again, green, yellow over here, green, blue over here, yellow, green, no, you don't, yeah, just yellow, green right over here. Perfect. Yellow, red over here, my people. Yeah, just come on and sort of bunch together so it's just one big continuous circle. Because you have the opportunity, moving back and forth between 2 opposites, you've got to pick one of the 2, knowing you've got the ability to move back and forth between them. So if you're feeling more green in the moment, you're right in the middle there. If you're feeling more red in the moment, right in the middle over there. So let me restate that idea. If your top 2 colors are red and green or green and red, you lead with that opposite type, that creative type, Carl Jung called it. One moment you're driving red results, the next moment you're amiable, patient, and caring. That means that you've got to, for now, pick one of the 2 sides, knowing you've got the versatility to move back and forth across the 2. Just like if you lead with blue and yellow, or yellow and blue energy, you've also got that versatility to move back and forth, showing yellow energy in one moment, blue energy in the next. My son, who you saw jumping with the blue hat on, by the way, took the assessment when he was 18 years old, and he came out blue-yellow. He probably came up with that combination because he grew up in a family of strong extroverts. And we kind of, part of our nature in nurturing him, prompted him to focus on those two color energies. So what you start to realize as you look around the room, see where your teammates have ended up compared to where you are. Bob, should I jump on the stage to get the mic back? Let me just do that for a second. I'm going to shout for a second, so I want you to hear this. Think about the psychology we talked about, okay? Introversion, over here. This is the group that thinks before they speak. I'm not trying to make fun of that group, but it's true. You have a dialogue in your mind, and when you speak, it's done. It's baked. It gets baked internally, and then it comes out. You know that. If this group is thinking, this group is talking. No matter what, right? Because that's how you process information in an extroverted way. If I said, you want to go to lunch? You'd say, yeah, I'll go to lunch. I don't want pizza. I had pizza yesterday. What time? Blah, 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 blah. Right? This group is just quiet, thinks all that stuff, and says, yes, just not pizza. All the processing happened internally. My database, logic-based decision makers, you're up here. You want the facts, you want the data to be able to solve problems. That's what happens up here. You think your way to solutions, and you focus on what's being impacted. This is a group that's all about people, feelings, and relationships when you're making a decision. It doesn't mean you can't think, and being up here doesn't mean you don't feel. But when you make your decision, that's what you tend to rely on. Folks that are down here will say things like, do you feel like we're going to make the number this month? And if you're standing over here, you're like, you don't feel numbers. What do you mean, you're going to feel it, right? It doesn't work that way. Think about people in your area, right? And what their focus is going to be. This is all about, let me help you get something done. Is that what you want from me? Yeah, in a fast, accessible way. We're here to get things done. I'm going to slow down and make a connection with this group. I'm not going to assume the connection's there. Is that a question? Yeah. Yeah, right, great. So if you're a practice owner, raise your hand. So I want you to think about something. When we talk about our model, are there other categories of role that we could name and just see where everyone's standing? Or no? What's another one? Support staff? Or unless you'd consider a different role or another role? Support staff. What about, like, is there an accounting function? Where's accounting sit? Audiologist. The thing when you do that, and it's powerful to make sure that you're aware of it, is you can do any job from anywhere. You just saw that. For everyone we threw out there, there's some. And there's tendencies towards preferences based on roles that people take on. I've trained actually by now 4,000 CEOs in this discovery model. Most of them lead with fiery red. Not 90% of them, about 50 is what I would say. And that's more CEOs lead with red energy than any of the other 4 colors. Now you can take that one of 2 ways. Oh, if I lead with red, I'm going to be a CEO, or I don't lead with red, I won't be. Well, yeah, you can be. Because 25% lead with blue, 20% lead with yellow, and 15% lead with earth green, or thereabouts, which means anybody can be a CEO. Anybody can do any job that they want to, but whatever it is, you're going to do it the way that your colors suggest. I've got a good friend that runs a $1 billion business. He started by himself. He was a butcher, right? And now it's called No Name Steaks. It's a $1 billion company. He leads right smack in the middle of your group. He is the most amiable, patient, caring, kind CEO with 3,000 employees because that's who he is. No matter what your role is, you're going to be doing it in an amiable, patient, caring way. You're going to be doing it in a results-oriented, task-oriented, driven for results kind of way. The thing behind the model, by the way, energetic, enthusiastic way, no surprise. Look at the yellow dot on her forehead. Watch out for that one tonight. In a statistically relevant, analytically based, thoughtful, reflective. You're thinking no? Now remember, you're leaning blue-red. So this group will look at the data and then drive towards action. This group might look at the data and then consider the impact on people. Because we're not just one color. That's the key here. You're not the only ones who can do math, and you're not the only ones that love giving speeches, or the only ones that are really kind and helpful to others. Every one of you has all 4 of these color energies in combination, and that's the power of it. It doesn't say, hey, we need a new idea in our business. Only those folks are going to come up with it. It says, no, you and you and you are going to use your yellow energy to come up with new, innovative ideas that may or may not work, but let's just put them out there. And every one of you is going to have an opportunity to consider mission, vision, values, and are people feeling okay? Think about those of you that are managing teams. All 4 energies are required to manage teams. Think about the client interaction that you all have. This is one of the most important applications, and as we wrap up, you're going to see us go there. When someone walks in the door or calls you, what's the first thing you're thinking about? From now on, it better be their colors, because it will determine everything you do from that point forward. I'll share with you an example of a big healthcare organization that before medical records went online, they would take one of the colored stickers based on a little survey that looked like this card to say, how would you like us to interact with you today? The person would look at it and say, I think yellow. This yellow sounds fun. And they would put a yellow sticker on the chart. The nurse would get the chart, see the sticker, and say, so, where are you from? If it was a blue dot, they'd say, what specific questions do you have for me right now? I'm not exaggerating, right? They're one of our biggest users in Minnesota. If it was a red dot, it said, we're going down the hall, second door on the left. We'll get you out of here as fast as we can. Isn't that what you want to hear? For Earth Green, is there any questions or concerns you have about anything that's happening next? Do you hear my tone of voice? That takes a little bit of practice, but it's actually not that hard, because if you create a new brain pattern that says, when I think about connecting with Earth Green, I'm going to think about the best tone. And I'm going to use a different tone with fiery red, no tone with cool blue. But here's why, because I'm going to put everything I can in writing, because you, color energies, like stuff in writing, right? Because there's a framework for it, a track record. You could see it all. We're just going to have fun with energy and enthusiasm and get stuff done as well. Take one last look at where your teammates are. If they're standing somewhere around the circle, maybe notice where they are. Here's where the waves go again. And again, for those of you that fall into that unique pattern of what we call creative types, where your top 2 colors are opposite, it's usually 9% of our profiles. So I'm guessing it's about 10% of the people here in the room. You possess the unique ability to show up here in one moment, but then show up here in one moment. But there's more to it than that. You also have a more easy path to show that energy and that energy as well. So when you go deep into our model, what you recognize is when your top 2 colors are opposite, you're very much chameleon-like. In a comfortable way, you can show blue, show red, show yellow, and show Earth Green more comfortably than the other 90% of people. But the second flip side of that is you might be harder for people to figure out. Where's the 2 gals that were showing me their blocks together a minute ago? Landed over there. Yeah, there they are. So what wristbands did you put on? Green and red? Because what you want to do, and some of you, by the way, take all 4 wristbands with you, because you can change your mind. You might put yellow on, and then halfway through the conference tomorrow, just go, I can't take this anymore, and put blue on. And by the way, we mean that when we talk about the blocks. Change these blocks every day you feel differently about how you want to be treated by other people. Red on top says get in, get out. Maybe you kind of want some connection with people, but not like a real heart-to-heart Earth Green. Put yellow. It's all about sharing with each other what you want in the moment. And for all of you, it's about paying attention to other people to lean in. So as we begin to wrap up, come on back to your seats, and I will show you how we do that. Mm-hmm.
We've been talking a lot about how we interact with each other and our coworkers, but these folks deal with people that have hearing loss.
Yep.
So if you could tie it into that.
Actually, that's a great point. Oops. Sorry about that. Let me take you into the home stretch. I've got about 15 more minutes, and this is where we move into this conversation about patients, about clients, about customers. Here's what I want you thinking about for a second. Because of the business you're in, clients with hearing loss, a comment was brought up to me. What is the impact of that on a lot of what I've been sharing with you? Give me some quick thoughts or ideas that you have. Maybe some people that you work with are not able to pick up on your tone and pace, or you might be challenged in understanding their tone and pace, right? Because of the nature of the work that you do. What are some of the other ways that you can try and have a level of awareness and a level of knowledge about how others around you might want to be treated? If it's not tone of pace or if it's not physiology, it could be the conversation. And I have a lot of people who do this, by the way, actually, like I talked about, healthcare, also financial services. They will literally show customers the card I'm giving you and say, which style of communication from our team would you prefer? And I don't know how you track records, but wouldn't that be an interesting piece of information to capture about every patient that you're working with? What's the preferred style that you'd like us to use when working with you? I think it's a brilliant question. I don't think anybody would ever surprise you and be offended that you asked. I think they would be pleasantly surprised that you asked and be very honest with what the answer would be. Take a look at this example. It's going to happen to all of you here in the hotel. Just read it for a second. I want you to see how often color energies are happening around us. I think I need you to email me so I can send you all the slides because you've taken a picture of them all. And I want you to have them. I do. Is this true for you? By the way, it's going to happen in the next half hour when you get on the elevator. How many of you are in a room where you've got to take the elevator? Practice on each other in that elevator. And practice on people who don't know you're practicing on them. Say how you doing or where you're from. Just a tiny little toss it out there and see if they start talking because they really want to. Here's what happens if you avoid these types of conversations. If you're an extrovert, you talk too much at people. You over-talk to people. If you're an introvert, you don't reach out to other people enough because you're kind of avoiding them a little bit. Extroverts, lean in a little bit more. Okay? Introverts, do the same thing. Pay more attention when you're doing it. You like The Office? Right? Think about your office. Think about this office. Michael Scott leads with what color? Probably, that'd be my guess. What's Pam lead with? What's Stanley lead with? And what's this guy lead with? And you could also say red, red, blue. You see, the point is, isn't it interesting that a sitcom that's very successful aligns key characters with unique personality styles? It's no accident that it happens. What they said is, let's get an introvert, extrovert, thinker, feeler. Go back and analyze the cast on shows like this. Practice paying attention to color energies. You already knew how to do this before I taught you anything in the last almost 2 hours, but yet we're automatically tuned in to see these things in other people. We're just not choosing to pay attention and then change our behavior to interact with them better as a result. Think about this for a minute. In Minnesota, this is a really unique example. We've all been in one of these cars. Can you start to guess what the scenario looks like? Could be fiery red, last minute, just says I got to get in, right? I got to get in. That's a possibility. Sunshine Yellow is having a phone conversation and missed the exit. Cool Blue mapped it out, recognized there was a better way, missed the traffic congestion on the exit, and will take the next one. Earth Green doesn't want to be too close, leaves enough space in the event that someone may need to get in and cut them off. Calm, kind, caring event. So if you start to wonder, like, where are the risk factors in a scenario like this? Fiery red could be one, right? Based on what happens. The risk for fiery red is that somebody who's in front already leads with fiery red. How does this get resolved? Sparring. I don't know if that's the most dangerous condition, because what about Earth Green, who finally gets tired of people cutting in, right? Remember I said, kindest, calmest, caring energy until it's not. And I think that was the most predominant color energy in the room that we had here today. If you don't think somebody's treating you fairly on the highway, and it happens repeatedly, that Earth Green energy comes out very strong. Every situation, every scenario that you're in, it shows up. Every email you send and receive should be written towards a color energy. That's the last tool I have on the table for you. It's a mouse pad. Leave it on your desk. Every time you click send on an email, you need to challenge yourself. Did I write this for Cool Blue? Did I add enough detail for Cool Blue energy? You might also say, Did I add some fun? Is there some fun and enthusiasm? Because I know I'm sending this to someone who leads with sunshine yellow. Again, raise your hand if you don't have a tool. There's plenty in the room. How about a PS? What if you see a PS in an email? Would Cool Blue ever put a PS in an email? Not in a million years. Rewrite it, respell check it. If you get an email that's full of energy and enthusiasm, the best thing you could probably do is call that person. They lead with yellow, they want an engagement with you. If you're too busy or can't do it, write back something fun and energetic. Earth Green, if you get an email that's calm and caring and connected, write back an email that's calm and caring and connected. You have to think about it or you won't do it. Your kitten's already sending every email. We need to be better than that. We need to pay attention. How many of you like to put a greeting at the start of an email when you send it? 2/3 of you at least. How many of you think that's kind of a waste of time? About a third, maybe a fourth. Here's the trick. If someone sends you a greeting, they want you to send them a greeting back, right? In fishing terminology, they're chumming. They're throwing it out there because they'd like it back from you. If somebody doesn't send you a greeting, they don't want your greeting. Because your greeting, by the way, probably comes out passive-aggressive. Somebody sends you just a very terse business note and you write back, hey, I'm doing fine. Looks like you're too busy to ask. Come on. If they didn't send it, they don't want it back from you. And the fiery red in the room, you got to stop doing this. But if it's fiery red, emailing fiery red, it's awesome. Because that's just how they're going to appreciate it. A dear friend who worked for me 25 years ago, I started to notice was sending an email with exclamation points, but not inside it. You know how you can click the exclamation point outside of it to say, this is really important? She worked for me, and I started to pick up on her emails, always had the this is important checked. So I went to her after like a week of noticing it on every single one, and I said, hey, Marty, I noticed that there's a check on every email you send to me. I go, is that like an automatic setting that you set for your boss? And she goes, no. She goes, I have to do it every time. And I go, you click important on every email you send to me? And she goes, on every email I send to everybody. Think about that, right? It's just, that's drive, intensity. It's all about paying attention. How about this one? Texting, messaging, however you reach out. It's the least amount of physiology. It's no tone. It's no pace. It's why so many times we get sideways with people when it's just something in writing. And now it's something in writing with limited characters. If you're not sure and you're not sure how to interpret it, reach out to that person. But you can see color energies even in a response to a text message. When can we meet next week? Who's going to reply right away with an incomplete answer? Probably fiery red. Just check it off my list. Response is done. You might have that followed by something which you can pick up on is a little more collaborative, a little more connected, offering up maybe some help and some support in getting this connection made. And then what happens next? You know where this is going, right? No response. No response. Because there's so many unanswered questions for Cool Blue with a short note like that. What's the meeting? Why? With who? When? What's the context? They're going to send an email later and get everything figured out, and then you're going to get this right away or a week later. Now, I've also been told that people with high blue energy sometimes like an emoticon because it's an easy way to show the emotion without showing the emotion. It's whatever it is to you. My point is it shows up everywhere if we're paying attention. If we're looking for it, we're going to see it. Think about your voicemail. How many of you have a voicemail system that allows you to use the computer to answer it? You know, where it just says, you've reached 952 what color energy is just moaned over there? Probably earth green. Like, it's so cold and callous, isn't it? It is cold and callous. If you're letting the computer be your voicemail, you've alienated green energy, you heard a moaning, and yellow energy right out of the gate. Because why? They want a people connection. But here's the thing, you're alienating all four colors. For fiery red, when they call you and they get, you've reached 952. 6, 1, click. I'm done with you. I'm done. I'm going to call somebody else, right? That took too long. But for Cool Blue, who's not looking for a personal connection, but what do they love? Accuracy. When Cool Blue gets that message, what's the first thought you have in the room, Cool Blue? Is it the right number? And the only way to know is to write the damn number down, go back and check, confirm that it is, call the person again. By the time you get on with them, you hate them. They gave you a bunch of extra work to do. Put your own voice on your voicemail and don't skew it too far in any one of the 4 directions. The best voicemail in the world is, "This is Scott, leave a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can." Not too yellow, not too red, not too green, not too blue. Go back and change that. And by the way, listen to yours. When's the last time you listened to it? Because it probably is exactly matching the blocks sitting in front of you. My daughter, when she was 8 or 9, remember the fiery red? We gave her a phone when she was about 9 because she was in theater, and we were always dumping her at theaters and losing her. So she put her own message on it at 9 years old, and the message was, "Leave a message." For real. That was her voicemail. Leave a message. Well, the only ones who call her all the time to leave a message are her parents, and we finally just got tired of it. Like, it wore us out. So we brought her in the room and said, "Scotty, change your voicemail right now. We're taking your phone." Because we'd asked her for a while. So she sat down in front of us and went in to change the message, and her new message was, "This is Scotty. I don't listen to voicemail. Text me or call me later." Tricky, right? Tricky one. Voicemail that we leave is being left by our less conscious. It directly reflects those colors. And for most of you, too much. Some of the worst things, ever got the one that says, "Hey, today's joke is," oh no, like that's way too much yellow energy. How about Cool Blue? What does a Cool Blue voicemail message sound like? "This is Scott. It's Tuesday, December 5th. I'll be in meetings from 9 until noon and 1 until 2:45 p.m. today, returning calls afterwards. Please leave your full name, the purpose of your call, your height, your weight, your blood type." When you hear all those questions, only one color energy asks all those questions, because that one color energy is dying to gather data. Hang up the phone and email them from now on. Never leave another voicemail message for someone who leads with Cool Blue. See how it shows up? See how it makes sense? We do all of this for one reason, so that once we recognize color energies, we can lean into other people's style. What does that leaning in look like? It's only 5%. It's got to be authentic. You have to genuinely intend to create a better interaction with somebody. And when you do it right for Earth Green, this is what it looks like. Take a look at the laminated card you have from me. Flip it to the back. The back just confirms, using slightly different language, the way in which you communicate best with the 4 color energies. I would invite you to remember one thing for the rest of the conference. Slow down for Earth Green. Slow down and take the time to connect with Earth Green. You know who doesn't want that from you? Fiery Red. Speed up, get to the point, and help them get something done. Speed up, get to the point, get something done. For Cool Blue, put it in writing when you can, and keep emotion out of the conversation. Get serious is how I would summarize interacting with Cool Blue. Doesn't mean there aren't times when you're going to have fun with them, but if you lead with yellow, you do it too much. Get serious, focus on the details. And for Sunshine Yellow, smile more. Smile, big smile, lots of teeth. Not like a Cool Blue smile. Because it's not enough. It's not enough. They want energy. They want enthusiasm. They want engagement. Think about how you can lean in to do that. Like the back of the card you're holding, this is a summary of the whole Discovery course. It's how to interact with the Discovery colors. And guess what? What's powerful about it is every phone message that you leave, every face-to-face interaction, every time you consider tone and pace, every email you write should be going in one of these 4 directions. And it's better to guess, even if you're wrong. You will rarely guess the opposite of what you're trying to get after with somebody, but at least you're thinking about who they are and making the effort to lean in. That's the power of it. I've used this that's not why I bring this up. It's the idea that you don't know if someone else is interacting with you consciously or less consciously. And it isn't that every kitten looks in the mirror and wants to be a tiger. There's a bunch of tigers in this room, and your persona's kitten. Right? It's just the idea of how you think you need to be showing up for the work that you do. My point is, just watch people, pay attention, and lean into their style. For you, if you're not operating out of conscious persona, you can't change your behavior. Remember blinking? Remember breathing? Write a message on the bathroom mirror if you want to get good at that. We can email you electronic blocks like this if you want to put them in your signature internally. A great way to have a constant reminder. Email me if you want to get a set of those. It's just electronic to plug in your signatures. Some people just change the color of their signature. Wesley, these are all real people. Wes leads with blue, or blue-green energy. When I get an email from him, I write back more detail because I'm triggered to remember it's what he wants. Put colors in your workplace. Take those blocks back and put them where everybody can see them so that everybody can interact. This guy, he inspired some actual stickers that we use in some of our training, but look what he wrote on the red. Be brief, be bright, Gigon. Look close. It says Gigon. He came to a follow-on workshop, and I saw him, and I looked at it, and he saw me look at Gigon, and he goes, yeah, I know it's Gigon. It's a typo. I don't give a damn. I save an hour a day. That's that guy, right? That's that guy. Think about your whole organization and an organizational chart that shows everybody's top 2 colors. Everybody sees it and can reference it all day long. 3M built it into their global sales training material. It used to say, doctor does this, you should do this. Now it says, doctor does this, leads with red, do this, leads with yellow, do this. A different reaction for all of these different scenarios to create better connections and better interactions. That's what I want you thinking about. Let me wrap it up by having you think about this. Think about ways in which you could become more self-aware. Leave the tools on. I saw one of my clients at the gym 7 years later. He had the yellow wristband on. I said, that's not ours, is it? And he goes, I've never taken it off. He said, every time I reach out and shake someone's hand, I think about their colors and I treat them differently. He put 20,000 people through this model. Practice the minute you walk out of here, looking at someone you don't know and just practicing saying introvert, extrovert, thinker, feeler, emotion, no emotion. The more you practice, the better you get. Think about how you can bring this into your practice so that you get better at interacting with each other. The one day after we did this model in my business with 60 employees was a game changer. I have never seen people change behaviors in such a positive way in 15 years of being an entrepreneur up until that point. That's the moment when I said, literally, I got to do this. I got to just share this message because I think there's so much power in how you use it when you're aware of it. A couple resources for you. Oh, the team that is receiving, where are you, by the way? Where's the Revolution Hearing? Oh, way over there. You have a discovery program, right, that CQ Partners is going to provide for you as a result of, what's the name of the event? The team competition? That ringing a bell? It's an award from CQ Partners. So you're all going to get the actual insights discovery profiles that they use in their business. Which is a deeper dive online to learn more about it. Here's what I want you to take away, right? If you want to go back and recap this in 15 minutes, scottstedtalk.com. It talks about everything I just talked about a lot more concisely than I did. Without the interaction, obviously, but you want to recap it or share it with a friend or a partner or colleagues who may not be here. I think about 3.5 million people have seen that. The other one is email me. If you want to learn more, if you want my slides, just reach out to me with questions that you might have. But ultimately, you've got an opportunity to use this on each other. Use it tonight at the party, at the reception, and use it again tomorrow when you're continuing to interact with each other. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you found this afternoon's session insightful.
Blinded by the light of a new sun. Get up, get up, get out, get done. For the first time I feel like someone breaking down the walls.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you found this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you found this afternoon's session insightful. Please enjoy a short break and head over to the conference center for your remaining breakout sessions this afternoon. We'll see you at 5 p.m. for our reception and trade